Welcome to Tripodcast, episode 333. It's Monday, December 2nd. A couple weeks ago, shortly before the ISSA show, Dick Ollek talked about working with your banker. In today's Tripodcast, he follows that up with how to find the right accountant. Dick has a series of questions he likes to use when interviewing for an accountant. Let's listen in.
In this podcast, I want to talk a little bit about finding the right accountant. All of us I know we have accountants that do our year-end taxes, but I'm talking here about an accountant who can be almost a business partner with us, much like a banker can be, or an attorney can be. But I have some standard questions that I ask my clients to ask when they're talking to or considering an accountant to join them. And as a matter of fact, in my book, The Do's and Don'ts of Contract Cleaning from One Who Didn't, I talk a lot about the mistakes I made in choosing a banker and an attorney and an accountant in my first early years, and how that cost me and how I had to go through the process of actually changing all of them over a period of the first couple of years. So if I can help anybody out there to avoid some of those mistakes, particularly if you're a newer company, it will be well worth the time. But here are some interview questions that I developed for potential accountants that you might be considering. First of all, do they have extensive experience with service companies? You know, they all tell you we have a lot of clients. We have a big client base. But you know, it's different being an accountant for a Kmart store than it is for a labor-related business such as a building service contracting firm. Now, here's a big one that I found, and one that I spend a lot of time reworking, I guess I should say, is: are they willing to work with a chart of accounts that's consistent with our industry, or do they have a standard off-the-shelf one? This one probably is one that is an aggravation to me more than any of them, I think, is the fact that many accounting firms have a standard where they're doing accounting for us, you know, our monthly statements and things like that. They have a kind of an off-the-shelf program, and they want us to use it, and they want us to adjust, you know, our way of doing business to their chart of accounts. And I just absolutely refuse to let that happen. I'm the customer. I want them to adapt their way of doing things to my chart of accounts, the ones that many of us work from. And you know, many of the off-the-shelf, over-the-counter software packages talk about the cost of goods sold. Well, we really don't have our cost of goods sold is labor, isn't it, and all the related costs. So it's important that they'll use a chart of accounts that is standard to our industry. Thirdly, will they willingly provide percentages on the statements, year-to-date numbers, and comparison to last year's numbers? Now, that's a pretty much a no-brainer, but there isn't a month goes by or a week goes by that I don't run into some contractor who is having trouble with his accountant giving him the percentages. And, you know, that's what we live off of. And here was one that was important to me as a contractor. Number 4, how soon can they produce a monthly statement? You should have them no later than 7 business days after you provide them the needed information. Now, if you can't get the information to them, then, of course, you know, you can't get them timely. But I want them within 7 days of when I get business days. And I'd like it to be faster than that, but that's kind of the standard that we've established. I recommend 5, but give them the benefit of the doubt. But I want them back. And here was always the thing that I said, and I've said to accountants that I've interviewed on behalf of my clients, is you tell us when you can get them, and we'll decide whether we can agree to that. But once we agree to whatever that date is, I want them. I don't want to hear that, you know, it's tax season and we're behind and we couldn't get to them this month early because of taxes or, you know, whatever. And it's the same thing with our customers, isn't it? When we say, well, the reason we didn't clean that is because we didn't have help last night. Who cares? They hired us to take care of it. Then the next one is, will they file all our quarterly state, local, and federal government reports and do our year-end W-2s? Then next, how willing are they to review the statements with us each month? This is important. And then provide an education on what they mean. I spend a lot of time with my clients working with them on their financials. And that's kind of my background. I love doing it. But I'm always amazed at how little many accountants provide input to my clients. So that's one of the questions I would ask. Eventually you're going to purchase an industry, if you haven't already, an industry-specific software package, and all of this will be kind of in-house for you. But in the meantime, these are just some of the questions that I would suggest that you ask if you're looking for a new accountant. And I know many of us establish an accountant early on, and as I told you earlier in this podcast, I did that right out of the chute, and it was the wrong decision. You have to make sure that the accountant that you choose, that you want to work with, can in fact provide you the things that you need. I can't overemphasize the importance of having accurate, timely financial information at all times. In another podcast, I talk about working with your banker. Well, they want accurate accounting. They want accurate statements. They don't want you giving them new adjusted statements every month. So, I really believe that more companies in our industry fail because of that they don't have accurate numbers, or that they don't understand the numbers that they do have. More companies fail for those reasons than fail for lack of good cleaning. I really believe that. Because many of us in this industry started out in the actual doing of the work, didn't we? We started doing the work, and then we saw an opportunity that we wanted to, or took the opportunity to become a business person on our own. And while we could probably strip and wax a floor better than anybody in town, anybody in the state, anybody in the country, we didn't understand a debit from a credit. And so this is important information. You need to have people surrounding you that understand it, that can explain it. And more importantly, you as a business owner, as a business manager, need to take the time to learn what those numbers mean and interpret them so that you understand what decisions you need to make as a result of the numbers that came in. So, happy sailing with your accountant, but be sure that they're helping you and that you're not helping them take an easier path. Thanks for watching us today.
You've been listening to a Tripodcast, short video and audio presentation about important topics in our industry. If you're a current subscriber to the Tripodcast, thank you. We appreciate it. If you're not yet a subscriber, please check it out. It's free and it's easy. Come to www.tripodcast.com, enter your email address on the right-hand column, and click subscribe. We'll send you out a new Tripodcast every Monday morning.